Milling Through History presents The Men Who Have Portrayed Jesus. It is the role of a lifetime, portraying the life of a man whose influence over the entire world has lasted for over 2,000 years. It is a difficult job, but to say that you have been able to play Jesus Christ in a film is certainly a feather to put in one's cap. Today, we are going to look at the top 5 performances of actors who have played the role of Jesus Christ and see just how it is that they achieved this particular status. And so, on to the list. Number 5, Jeffrey Hunter, King of Kings, 1959. Better known for his role as Captain Christopher Pike in Star Trek, Robert Hunter was seen by many critics as being too young to play the role of Christ in King of Kings, despite the notable fact that he was actually 35 and therefore the correct age to play the part. However, Hunter's role is rather unique in history because it was in this film that audiences within the United States and other English-speaking parts of the world would actually see the face of Christ in a film. Prior to the release of King of Kings, any film which showed the life of Christ always showed him from behind, or with his hands, or by a shadow, never by the face. And so, Jeffrey Hunter certainly makes the mark for making an influential role in that of Jesus Christ. Number 4, Jim Caviezel, The Passion of the Christ, 2004. Undeniably the most violent of all films in regards to the life of Jesus, Mel Gibson sought to go ahead and show the final 12 hours of Christ's life. What most people did not expect was that this particular film would be one of the highest grossing Christian films of all time. Churches would sell out theaters just for their congregation to come and see the film. A re-edited version of Passion of the Christ has been released, toning down the violence. However, Caviezel's performance does show exactly what extreme events occurred for Jesus before he passed away. Number 3, Willem Dafoe, The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988. Undeniably, this is the most controversial film that is found on the list, and the selection of Dafoe as number 3 might also be seen as controversial as well. Critics described that the film was enjoyable and Jesus is being portrayed in a far more human light. However, many Christian groups found the film to be blasphemous and felt it was not true to the Bible. In many ways, this is true, considering that in the plot, Christ is effectively tricked by a being who ends up being the devil, of being able to get taken down from the cross moments before his death and living a normal life, only to discover that Christianity still moved forward. However, the one aspect of the religion that Jesus found was rather peculiar is that they said he died on the cross, even though he had survived. And in the final moments, Christ wants to be placed back onto the cross so that he could die for everyone's sins. While the film itself was controversial, it was Dafoe's performance which is rather memorable and does certainly show Christ in a different type of light. Number 2, Max von Sydow, The Greatest Story Ever Told, 1965. It is considered by many the most popular of all biblical films, mainly because Sydow's performance is found to make Jesus not only human, but very much approachable. People feel more comfortable seeing him, and that had Christ been alive, perhaps this would have been the way he might have interacted with you. Critics, however, were a little bit harsher on the film as they panned it due to the high number of celebrity guest starring roles which had occurred. It seemed as if, well, who was Jesus going to encounter this time in the film as it progressed forward, thus detracting from the story as a whole and making it almost as if it was just one big giant cameo film for celebrities. Before we get to the number 1, there are a few honorable mentions to be named. In 1999, both Jeremy Sisto and Christian Bale would take on the role of Christ, with Sisto in the role of Jesus in the film Jesus, and Christian Bale in Mary, Mother of Jesus. 1981, John Hurt played the role of Christ in History of the World Part 1. And in 1916, Howard Gay would play the role of Jesus Christ in D.W. Griffith's film Intolerance. Now, it should be noted that with this film, while Christ's face is seen, it is not a talking film. It was a silent film, and therefore, Jeffrey Hunter still remains the first speaking version of Christ to be on film. And now, the number one, Robert Powell, Jesus of Nazareth, 1977. While Max von Sydow might have been certainly a very popular Jesus, the 1977 miniseries starring Robert Powell actually went one step further. Powell, during the film, rarely ever blinked. Instead, allowing audiences to gaze upon his blue eyes, it immediately captures their attention. As such, anytime he is speaking as the role of Jesus, audiences are immediately engaged with him. The miniseries was also praised for its visually stunning scenes and with an all-star cast which did not detract away from the story of Jesus and his teachings. When NBC broadcasted the film in 1977, for the United States, according to the Nielsen rating system, 50% of all television sets were tuned in to the miniseries, garnering some 90 million viewers. Pope Paul VI would even endorse the film on April 3rd, 1977, making this the only biblical film at the time to have been endorsed by the Vatican. Since its original broadcast, NBC would rebroadcast the program 5 times, the most recent, though, having been in 1990. Now, do you agree with our list? Well, be sure to click like, share, and subscribe for future episodes of Milling Through History, and leave comments below for future episode ideas or even your take on our top 5 list. And be sure to see our suggested viewing page for the film titles mentioned in this video.